What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the two new guns that were introduced with the Season 2 launch for Warzone. So that would be the LC10 and the FARA. I got all the base stats for these, the damage profiles, fire rates, everything. So we'll look at base stats and compare them to current weapons, as well as TTKs and DPS, and try to decide if they are worth using or not. And as always, if you guys like the stuff I'm doing, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me grow and helps me keep doing this, so I really appreciate it. But yeah, let's jump into the new guns. All right, so before I jump into the LC10 and the FARA for the stats comparisons, I want to talk about TrueGameData for a little bit and what I'm going to be doing for the next month. So I talked about this a couple of videos ago, but I just want to, for people that didn't see that and didn't hear that, I want to reiterate it. So I'm going to be pretty much cutting back on YouTube a little bit and cutting back on streaming a little bit and testing a lot harder. So I'm going to try to get all the stats for all the Cold War guns done within about a month. The reason I held off was mostly just because I thought Season 2 might bring changes. I wasn't sure. I think I am on record saying I didn't think they would change things substantially. So I was a little bit wrong with that. Looks like they did change things pretty substantially. The barrels are a lot different now. But they also nerfed the agency suppressor. I don't know if that was reverting back to the original agency suppressor on accident or if they did it on purpose. We'll see if they revert it. But anyway, hopefully the guns are closer to their final state now since I waited for Season 2 to launch. I'm going to test everything, get it all on the website, and give you guys the best data I can. All right, so let's start with the new AR. So I went into Plunder, and I fully tested the new AR in terms of base stats. I don't have the attachment stats yet. I don't even have the gun leveled past level 1, I think, but I have the full damage profile and all of the base stats like movement speed, ADS time, sprint to fire time, hip fire, all those different base stats. I have all those completed. Same for the LC10, but we're going to start with the FARA, like I said. So let's compare. So the FARA is looking like it's going to be more of a sniper complement gun. It has really strong recoil. It's kind of hard to control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it to the current best sniper complement, which is the FFAR. So I've got the FARA added. We're going to add the FFAR, both with no attachments since I don't have the attachments for the FARA yet. I can't do that. All right, so let's start with summary stats. So the FARA shoots 790 RPM, quite a bit slower than the FFAR, so that's a plus for the FFAR. The higher the RPM, the more you're flinching the enemy, and it can make a pretty big difference in how difficult it is to shoot back at somebody. So the FFAR definitely has the advantage there. ADS time, the FARA was right around 300 milliseconds compared to the FFAR's 238. So again, FFAR is significantly better here. Sprint to fire time, they both have the default assault rifle sprint to fire times. Movement speed and ADS movement speed are almost identical between the two guns. Not even worth talking about 0.02 millisecond or meters per second difference. Hip fire area is the same, standard AR, bullet velocity is the same. And then reload time, the FARA actually has a pretty terrible reload time compared to the FFAR. 3.17 seconds is super slow. I don't know for sure, but I think that might be the slowest AR there is. That's really, really slow for a reload time. The FARA does have the advantage in mag size, though. It has a few more bullets per magazine. I don't know what the biggest mag is. I would assume it's 60. But I haven't leveled it yet, like I said, so I can't say what the biggest mag is, but the FARA looks like it does have a slight advantage in terms of the mag size. So let's go look at TTK. Right now, it's not looking so good for the FARA. So we're starting with 250 health. That's 3 plates, and then chest shots. So looking at this, the FARA is the orange, and the FFAR is the purple. So you can see the FFAR just absolutely destroys the FARA in TTK at all ranges. And like I said, it's not like the FARA has easy to control recoil. It has a very sharp recoil pattern. It's very difficult to control, just like the FFAR. I would even say the FFAR might be a little bit easier. It's more straight vertical, so it's a little easier to control. But let's look at the rest. So going to headshots, the FFAR again beats the FARA by a pretty decent amount. And let's look at, I guess, extremities. So extremities and stomach are going to be the same with these. So the FARA and the FFAR are pretty much the same out to 22 meters. At 22 meters, the FARA has its first drop-off and only drop-off. So you get even a longer drop-off with the FFAR. It goes all the way out to 36 meters for the first drop-off. So I don't see a spot for the FARA in the meta anywhere currently. Like I said, I don't have the attachments. I don't have the attachments tested, but I don't really see how attachments could change this. I do know the FAR had all these attachment changes with this update, so maybe the FFAR isn't going to be quite as good as it was before this patch. So maybe that'll balance these out a little bit. But even with the attachments being changed, I don't see the FARA being viable when compared with the FFAR. All right, so let's quickly compare the FFAR and the FARA's recoil patterns. So I'm going to go about 10 meters away here, shoot a couple recoil patterns with the FARA first. So it goes up and to the right and then pretty hard up and to the left, which is kind of difficult to control. And this is kind of what I was talking about, why I don't think it's going to be a very effective gun at range. There isn't very much horizontal bounce, though, so if you learn this recoil pattern, it might be okay. But that's just going to be really difficult to consistently control. It's kind of like the Ram 7 profile, where the Ram 7 kind of goes out to the right a little bit and then up to the left pretty hard. And you don't see a lot of people trying to use the Ram 7 at range, so I think this is going to be pretty similar to that. Let's check out the FFAR right next to it, same distance. So that wasn't quite as many bullets, but overall, the FFAR is going to be a little bit easier to control, I think. So the FFAR even has that on its side. I just don't see the FARA being a very viable gun with the other guns that are available right now. All right, so to me, the FARA doesn't look like it's going to be very good, just based on base stats. But let's jump over and talk about the LC10 now. So I've talked about this before, but I feel like there's 4 meta or top tier SMGs in the game right now for Warzone, and that would be the MAC-10, the Bullfrog, the MP5 from Modern Warfare, and the MP5 from Cold War. So we're going to compare the LC10 to those, since those are the 4 best in my opinion. So fire rate, the LC10 has 790 RPM fire rate, just like the FARA does. So it matches the FARA's fire rate exactly. So that is slower than all of these except the Bullfrog. Bullfrog's down at 750 RPM, max all the way up at 1120 RPM, which is crazy fast, but it does have that open bolt delay, so the effective RPM is going to be a little lower than that. ADS time, it has good ADS time, 192 milliseconds, so a little bit faster than Bullfrog and both MP5s, but slower than the MAC-10. Again, the MAC-10 has that open bolt delay, so the ADS time doesn't necessarily reflect exactly what the effective ADS time is going to be, because you have the ADS and shoot to shoot somebody, so that's going to have the open bolt delay added to that most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but I've talked about that a bunch in the past. Sprint to fire times, the LC10 just has a standard SMG sprint to fire times, so same as the other guns. Movement speed is a little bit slower than all of them, actually. It's a pretty slow moving gun, which is surprising. ADS movement speed is also a little bit slower than all of them, which is, again, surprising. It's a small gun. I would have thought it would be pretty high. Standard hip fire area as the other SMGs. 400 meters per second bullet velocity is not bad for an SMG. Reload time, 2.2 seconds, not bad. I don't have the attachments, like I said, so I don't know what the biggest magazine is, but the default mag is 34. I would imagine the biggest mag is somewhere around 60. So that's going to be a good size mag for the SMG. But let's go look at the TTK charts now. So this is going to be a bit of a mess because I have all these guns on there, but we're starting with 250 health TTK chest shots. And right off the bat, the LC10 is this blue color compared to the green, which is Modern Warfare or Cold War MP5. Then the cyan color is Modern Warfare MP5, pink is Bullfrog, and orange is MAC-10. So right off the bat, of these 4, the LC10 and chest shots is quite a bit slower TTK than the other 4 that I think are the best. And I've talked about this a bunch before, but I'm just going to reiterate. With SMGs, I think TTK is far, far more important than with like a long range AR, because really you're not gonna miss your shots as much up close. You're gonna hit a lot higher percentage of your shots. So having a really high TTK is really important, because if you both don't miss, then the gun with the higher TTK wins, or the faster TTK, not the higher TTK. So I think for SMGs specifically, TTK is very, very important. So this is not looking good for the LC10 so far. It has slower movement speed and slower TTK in the chest. So let's look at the other shot locations. So stomach's the same, much slower than the other 4. And then extremities, it gets closer. It's a little closer to the MAC-10, a little closer to the Bullfrog, but it's still the worst of the 4. And then headshots. Look at headshots, it's quite a bit better than the Mac 10. Mac 10 got that headshot damage nerf probably a couple months ago or a month ago. So it's not great on headshots, but the LC10 is decent on headshots. It keeps up with the Modern Warfare MP5, and it's almost as fast as the Cold War MP5. So it's decent on headshots, but overall, the TTK and the movement speed and stuff, I don't really see it being super viable. It does have longer ranges than all the other SMGs, so its range extends out to 20 meters, which is good. But again, it's like, let me do this. Let me remove these other SMGs and compare the range is only really that important if you're running this with like a sniper or something. So if I add what I would currently consider the best sniper complement, which is the FFAR, if I add this and we look at the TTK charts, so this is now the LC10 is orange and the FFAR is pink. Why would you ever choose the LC10 over the FFAR? There's no reason. It's just worse in almost every way. The only way it's not worse would be ADS times and sprint to fire times, which are very important. But you can add something to the FFAR to get the sprint to fire times down. So you can put the stock, either the Raider or the CQB pad, you can put that on there. And then that's going to bring your sprint to fire times almost down to SMG level, not quite. But I don't really see a viable reason to use an SMG right now as a sniper complement. I know some people like the Bullfrog or the AK-74U and now the LC10 because it has that longer range, but I don't see it. Even if you include sprint to fire time, so I've got sprint to fire time on now, the FFAR, even though it has worse sprint to fire time, is still way faster TTK than the LC10. So that's my point of view, my opinion. Just wanted to give that. I don't see much of a reason to use the LC10 either, unfortunately. All right, a quick recoil pattern test with the LC10 compared to the Mac 10. So we're gonna go 10 meters away again. So very, very vertical. This is a very accurate gun. Very little horizontal bounce. That's going to be extremely, extremely easy to control. So that's another thing that the LC10 is going to have on its side. Let's compare that to the Mac 10. So the Mac 10 has way more horizontal bounce. You can see the pattern is much wider horizontally. So in terms of actual accuracy, the LC10 is definitely going to beat the Mac 10 and most SMGs. Now the Bullfrog looks similar to this, except it just goes perfectly straight up to the left. But yeah, the LC10 looks like it's going to be very accurate. All right, so that was a quick summary of the LC10 and the FARA's base stats compared to some other meta guns right now. In my opinion, they both don't seem like they're going to fit into the meta at all. They both seem like they're kind of bad. And that's kind of unfortunate. You know, it's always fun to have new guns to play with, but we'll see. I mean, we don't know exactly how all the attachments were changed yet. Like I said, I'm going to be testing all the attachments really hard over the next month or so and hopefully get a clearer picture of how stuff has been changed. But for now, with what we know right this second, it doesn't look like either of these guns are very good to me. So just keep that in mind. But thank you guys all for watching as always. I'll be making more videos here probably pretty frequently since there's a bunch of new content, a bunch of new changes coming out. So stay tuned for that. But I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next videos and have a great day.